kind of hard sometimes because you can't keep your client. And because I deal with a lot of immigrants, it takes one person to tell the other person, and then now they're like, "Oh, Jack, prices are too expensive," and no one want to come to you, even though they love you. They want everybody want to save money because the TV told you so, all the commercial told you so. But to truly be the best agent out there, I want to first educate people, especially as a newcomer. When you come to this country, you don't know anything about car insurance. You don't know what are the requirements. You don't know what full coverage is. You don't know what liability is. Yep. You don't understand what roadside assistance and all these things are. So when you walk to me, there's in French, is in English.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sunday Talk episode number 136. In today's episode, we're going to do something different. We have our first guest on this channel. You remember I told you I'm going to start interviewing people in different areas so you guys can learn stuff, especially you guys who are newcomers here in the United States of America. This guy is the perfect guy. He will talk about his life when he first moved to the United States of America, how he almost got in trouble, almost got arrested because of his English. He's gonna talk about insurance. That's what he does for a living. He's gonna talk about the importance of insurance, why you need insurance, what kind of insurance you need, things people, insurance agents normally don't tell you. He's gonna talk about a lot of stuff. His journey here in the United States of America. It's a powerful interview. You guys gonna learn a lot from it. So before we start today's video, as always, I want to wish you guys a happy Sunday. I hope your day is going well. Without further ado, let's go to the interview. USA Mon. Okay, Jack Beguedou, thanks for coming to our show on USA Mon Sunday Talk, and it's a pleasure to have you here. For some of you guys, or for some of my audience who don't know who you are, could you please present yourself so they know who you are?
My name is Jack Beguedou, or Jacques Toi Beguedou. I'm originally born and raised in West Africa, Togo. Immigrated here when I was 19 years old. I've been in the United States almost 18 years now. Lived here. I live in Nebraska now. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. And obviously, I'm also a father of a 15-year-old daughter.
All right, good. Thank you. So both of us are from the same country. we just speak on the phone. We never meet face to face, but one day we're gonna meet face to face. You know, absolutely. Maybe I come to Nebraska, or you come over here. I live in North Carolina now because I move around a lot. We used to be in New Jersey and all that, and now I'm back to North Carolina. Well, thank you. My first question for you is gonna be, how was your life when we moved to the United States of America? You know, life as a newcomer when you first moved to the United States of America.
Again, I came to the U.S. when I was 19 years old. I just graduated from high school, did a couple years, about a year at the university before I came here. As an immigrant, I would say that was back in 2004, and life wasn't as simple as it is. You literally, I only knew one person when I came to the US, one person. And that person was only the person that actually, we just went to the same high school. So when I was coming here, after you get a visa, the plan is to come and stay in the student dorms. But 2 days before I was coming, they said the student dorms were full. Oh, wow. So I needed to find temporary accommodations before I actually come in the country. So I had to send an email to that friend. I had to, go in the neighborhood, talk to someone who knew someone who had his number, to call him directly from back home and to see if I can stay with him for quite some time. So I came here. Fortunately, he did pick me up from the airport, and he took me to his place. So I stayed with him for 2 weeks. And after that, something opened. And he was actually very honest with me. He said, "You can stay here alone." I have two roommates. They were living in a 2 bedroom. There were three people living in a 2 bedroom.
Oh,
Somebody was in a couch. Somebody was in a room. Somebody was in another room. So it
mhm.
was just, you already knew immediately that the environment was different. Another thing was, I lived in Nebraska, which uh, there was no public transportation. So obviously, you either get a ride to go somewhere
Mhm.
or you just walk to
Oh,
go.
wow.
Now, walking wasn't unfamiliar because obviously,
Oh,
you
yeah,
are
the
you're
background.
from Africa. Walking is a norm.
Mhm.
So after the 2 weeks, in the third week, when I got into my apartment, I was in a 3 bedroom with four people, and everybody. The first shock was no one was ever home. No one was ever home.
They go to work every day.
No, yeah, the only time I would see them is either in the crack of dawn, when I'm going to use the bathroom, or when I'm up to go to school, they're coming home. So
Oh,
I was like, this was probably the first shot.
yeah.
Second was, going to the grocery store. Going to the grocery store was very weird. There's so many variety of one thing. Cereals were like
Yo,
20 things, 20 cereals, in an aisle.
the
And
Jack cereal, John cereal.
yeah,
Oh,
that was probably the craziest thing I but I would say, uh it was it was it was more of a sink or swim type of feeling, right? You are in it, you are in school, and
mhm.
then you start quickly making friends without you wanting it. You are all going through the same thing. You realize everybody got here some way, somehow.
Almost
You're all on
yeah.
an F1 visa, you're
Hmm.
all students, and
Hmm.
you're all trying to struggle. And you learn also the ability to share information fast. Who's working where, who
That's very
has a
important.
car, yeah, who has a car, who do you talk to, who knows who where, who's working where, to be able to give you an application so you can actually also go work there. It was really, for the first year, was just a herd mentality, right? Everybody was, you're just together, you going through something, you just listen and just follow. You don't think for yourself
Hmm.
because you don't know any
You
better.
don't know.
You
Yep,
just
exactly.
you
You
just
trust those
follow.
people.
Correct.
Hmm.
Correct. You just follow. Like we say back home, if you see a group of people running, don't
You
ask
run.
why
You
they're
just
running,
run.
just run.
Then you
And
think
you can
later.
ask questions later, right? So that was the mentality.
Yeah.
I got my first job actually at McDonald's. That was my first job. In 2004, you're getting paid 5.75 an hour, and you
Yeah.
you just, you just enjoyed it. Then it was
Yeah.
a 25-minute walk away from my apartment. So I would walk from there
Oh,
till
wow.
the winter hit, and then your second shock
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
was the
Yep.
winter. You get cold, you walk, you freeze, and you realize that you do have to change wardrobes because there's no coat, or no jacket
You
thick
cannot
enough
wear
from
short
Africa
like some.
that that can make it, through the Nebraska, especially Nebraska weather. And you learn to adapt. Uh, at that time, the other bad thing, or at that time good thing for me, is I was 19, so I couldn't go drink anything. I couldn't go to the club.
Yes,
I
of
wasn't old
course.
enough to drink,
Mhm.
and I was also young. So the toughest part at that time was to learn how to drive,
How to drive.
because you feel like a prisoner in your own space, because everyone has a way to move and do
Hmm.
something, and
Not
you
to depend on other people to give you ride and all those stuff. Yeah.
you make friends fast. So you have to ask people. The way I was able to learn how to drive is, I will wait for people to come back from their work at night, so I can beg them for like 15 minutes to let me use their car in the parking lot to train, to know how to drive. So I did that for like 2 months. And then one of the guys that found a job, um, where I was working. Uh, what he would do is, since we had the same shift,
Hmm.
he was nice enough to say, when we leave work at night, I would just let you drive the car to come back to our apartment. So I did that for about 3 months. Every night when we leaving the job, he
That
would
will
let
help
me
you a lot.
back. Yeah. So I failed my driving exam probably. Like the written exam, I passed it the first time, but the exam itself to drive, because every time to go past the exam, I have to borrow somebody's car.
Exactly.
So, so it was funny because I would go, and the same lady for some reason 3 times in a row will always be the same person. She's like, oh, you have a different car today. And I'm like, I was like, oh yeah.
You've been borrowing car.
right. And you know, I failed my exam probably 4 times. The fifth time is when I got my license. It was interesting because it was always about speed and control. And you just, you know, first car I bought after that was a 1989 Geo Prism. It was a red. That was before Toyota, so there was Geo Prism. And when you start the car, you hear everything inside, right? you know everything that's working in the car.
Do you mind if I ask you how much you bought that car?
Oh yeah, I bought the car. It was on credit, and it was $1,200. I put $500 down, and it took me probably a year to pay the rest of it because the guy was charging us at that time like 20% interest, right?
Oh wow!
So you know, because he was taking advantage of all the immigrant, the new one that was coming in.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where lesson to learn there at that time. 1989 Geo Prism. When you get a car, you mean you can apply somewhere else. So I applied to another job that was paying $3 more, about 20 minutes away, 20-minute drive away from Bellevue, where I was. And Lord behold, the first 2 weeks, second week, I was driving to get on the interstate, older car, 89, the right tire popped off the car.
Oh, wow.
So my car flips.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, my car flips 3 times. Right.
Wow.
When, I tell people, when you're a newcomer, whatever you believe in, if it's Ligba, if it's Jesus, if it's Muhammad, if you're a newcomer in America, hold on to that part of you. Don't let that part go.
That's very important.
Because which God you pray for protection, hold on to that God, because that day, my little life that I had flashed slowly to my face, and all I had was just glasses that actually got in my skin here, but nothing else happened to me. Nothing. The car was completely totaled. They had to literally cut the door out to take me out.
Get you out. Oh wow.
But I was fine. Like all adrenaline more hurt, but I was fine. They checked my blood pressure. They checked it. They're like, you're fine. You just have to put some Band-Aid on here and you'll be fine. So I wasn't even done paying for that car. I was only 3 weeks in. So I already owed the dealership,
the rest
my
of the money.
$700.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back and get another car. So I got a green Mazda. It was a 1990 Mazda that I got at that time. So, it happened, but you keep moving on. You just keep going.
Keep moving on. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. Wow, what a great story. I would never knew you went through all this.
Oh yeah.
When you first moved to this country, though.
Yeah,
wow.
you just make it through and you find your first job. And one of the things I realized that was a problem was language. Yes. Because I was doing good in school. I had all A's because obviously studying is all we do as good Africans. But my problem at that time was communicating. Back home, I was the talkative guy. I was the theater guy. I was the choir guy, and I just wanted to talk with more people. The one flaw I realized, because I had an incident that happened to me.
Okay.
That changed my life, made me want to take English seriously. Now, this may be funny to some people, but at that time I was really scared. I was about 3 months in, while I was just trying to get my license. I went to the grocery store and I still had traveler's checks.
Okay.
So, and for people that know, that's how old we are.
Yep.
About traveler's checks.
That's how you bring your money to the States.
When you come to America, you have traveler's check. It's not people that have debit cards from back home that they come in here and use it. At that time you have traveler's checks. So American Express traveler's checks, what I have, and I'm sitting there and I buy all these things, and I didn't speak the language really well. So funny thing is, I went to the store, and the girl that was there, another thing, culture difference, right? The girl that was at the counter was smiling at me, but it wasn't the smile that is a normal smile. I call it the American smile. The American, the little smile just to tell you that I'm being nice to you. But I took it more, young 20-year-old, seeing this girl smiling at me. I'm smiling back, just getting to the counter. And when she ring everything, she said, I'm writing my check down. I hand it to her, and she did the thing. She's like, do you have a penny? And I go, and she's like, do you have a penny? I go, yeah.
Are we talking about that here in the grocery store?
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, yeah. She's like, can you give it to me? Then I will actually give you everything else. And I'm like, here? And she freaked out. And she ran. She's like, oh, ew. And she ran. So the manager come in, and the manager literally walked by.
Yeah.
He goes, this, sir, this is inappropriate. You can't do this in here. That's not what you do here. This is just disgusting. I'm calling the police. So, and I'm confused, right? I'm confused. I'm looking at them like, I didn't speak good English. So I'm like, oh, she said the penny. I said penny, and I keep pointing back down to my pants. And the manager's like, you are disgusting.
It's like you confirming what you said.
Correct. He literally going like, you are disgusting. It wasn't even like 5 minutes. Police was already there, right? I'm holding this grocery.
Emotional damage.
Right. and now police parks, and they come and they take me. I get handcuffed. I get put in a car. Right. They're talking to the manager, and the guy comes in, and he comes to the turn. He's like, hey, can you explain what happened at the store? And I'm trying to speak the best English I can. Like literally tears falling down my face. I don't know how to explain this. And I go, I'm trying to tell this man, and he goes, okay, you keep saying penny, penny, penny. What exactly happened? And I said, he's like, okay, do you speak any other language? I go, yes. I go French. He get on for like, dispatch, we're gonna need a French translator to come here because I don't understand anything. Dispatch is standing there, they're standing, I'm in the car, I'm sitting around, and nothing is going on. And one of the students, like that come to grocery store passing by.
Okay.
And the police stopped me and say, hey, can you help translate? So they pulled the thing down, and he's ask him what happened. So I explained this thing to the guy in French. I say, elle m'a demandé le penny, je l'ai montré. I'm literally telling him, and he started laughing. He's like,
he got a point. He got a point.
Yeah. He's like, are you serious? He's asking me like, just serious? I'm like, yes. And the guy's like, she didn't ask you for that. I'm like, oh, that's what she said. And the guy's like, okay, the cop is like, tell me what he's saying. So he explained this to the cop. All the windows are shut, and the cop stopped laughing. Like both of them are laughing, right? So the cop and him walk to the manager of the grocery store, and they explain this thing to the manager of the grocery store. And now 3 of them are laughing. Now I'm sitting there in tears and I'm looking at them like, now they're making fun of me.
Of you, yeah. This is no fun.
So I'm sitting there and the guy comes out. He takes me out of the car. He's giggling. Like he can't hide the laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
And he take the cuff of me. He said, this is a huge misunderstanding. And I go, and I'm looking at him and he handed me a paper and he wrote PENNY and equal to, he made an arrow and he said 1 cent. PENIS. And he more says and say genitalia, parentheses, sex. And he handed it to me. That's like behind the ticket. Like he didn't give me a ticket. He just handed that to me. He said, sir, you don't know the difference between penis and penny.
Penis.
He's like, your friend just explained to me that you guys say penny in French for penis. But she didn't ask you for your penis. She asked you for a penny. Because if you give her a penny, she could have given you $50 back.
Back, yes. Wow.
So from that day moving forward, I told myself, I'm going to learn how to speak English.
Yeah.
I'm going to take speaking English very seriously, because if something crazy like that never happened to you, you will not know
yeah,
how important it is to know the difference between penny and penis, or, know these things that are very small detail could have landed me in jail versus actually me not knowing the difference if just that kid was not passing by to explain what happened at that time. But that changed my whole perspective. I changed my job. I didn't want to work at McDonald's anymore. I wanted to go work at a place where, I can speak to people more. So I worked at a gas station. That was my major job for the longest time. And when newcomers come and start asking me where to work first, I tell them, if you're going to school, go work at a place, if either it's customer service or any other place where you can learn how to, you can force yourself, even if it's not good English, you can force yourself to start speaking. The reason why is because when I started working at a gas station, because when most people meet me, it takes them a while to figure out where I'm from. They always go, I think you have an accent, but I don't know where it's from, because it came from the gas station. I work at a gas station where people from all walks of life, either is the African-American way of speaking, or the proper way of speaking is an older person, is a younger person. Everybody from all walks of life are walking to a gas station, and you get to interact with these people day in and day out.
Wow.
I started lowly working overnight there to becoming the manager of the gas station in 2 years. So I started managing my own gas station 4.5 years in. Got married, had a kid, and went to school for a little bit, but there was no money to go to school.
So
I had to stop school because I was at that point where I didn't have any papers. My visa was running out, and I was a dad at that time, so I did have to figure my way to take care of my kid at that time. It took me a while after I got married to be able to finally get my papers, and eventually I went from the gas station to, starting my career now. And literally the way I started my career, it was one of my clients that actually came to my gas station and said, I like your spirit. There's something about you. If you let me teach you what I do, I'm sure you'll be very good at it. And he came like 4 or 5 times, 6 times. I even went out somewhere and I met him again, and he said, dude, you need to call me. So I took a leap of faith and I jumped in my career. And now almost 12 years later, I'm still in the same career.
Wow, so that's a good segue to insurance, because I know you have an insurance company, Somalia Insurance Group. So basically, my next question is how you get into the insurance business. So you just started by meeting that guy.
So there's twofold into me getting into insurance. So I tell people all the time that back home, we are taught that you need to go to school get a diploma, and then figure out what you want to do. Right? Because if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, go to school first. And then when you graduate, hopefully you'll find a job to do what you want. No one cares about your natural ability. Yep. Oh, he's really good at speaking. No, maybe you should do public speaking. It was 100% based on your performance at school. Yep. If you're good at math, that means your career will be math, physics, science. That's what you're going to be in. You're good in language. You're going to, literature and all those. It was that. No one cared about your natural ability. Think about all the people that were good at basketball, or they were good at soccer, or they were good at, all the other things. No one will tell you, oh, you should become a theater major. That's considered wrong. Or you should become a carpenter because you're just good at fixing stuff with wood. No one would tell you to do those things because it wasn't noble. It wasn't seen right by the family, right? Like we say in Africa, there's only 4 careers that you can be in. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or a disgrace to the family. Those are the 4 things, right? As a good African. But one thing I had to learn here is leaning on my natural ability, right? If you put something in front of me to fix electronically, I'd figure it out, but I'm not good at it. The one thing I knew I was good at since I was a kid is I love performing. I love theater. I love speaking. I did speaking, spelling bees. I did a lot of spoken word, poems and all things back home. So I knew that I'm good at talking, but my dad will never let me do those things because in his house, you either in a scientific field or nothing else. So obviously it was one of those things that I never actually sharpened, but I'm just good at, math, physics, and all the other things. But when I came here, that client saw me interact, with other people in my gas station. He comes like once a week. He became my he's still my mentor till today. He looked at me and said, you have something. But at that time, the African in me couldn't believe it because I'm like, well, what do you want? What do you need from me?
It's like, yeah.
And he's like, he had to tell me, he said, if you are in the business of gathering nuts, right? If your job was to gather nuts on a tree, would you hire a bunch of squirrels or would you hire one strong horse? And in my mind, I'm like,
what is he talking about?
What is he talking about? He's like, oh, you can hire one strong horse to shake the tree, the nut will fall, but you still the one that have to pick all the nuts out. But he's like, you can hire a squirrel or a bunch of squirrels that are small, very disorganized, and teach them just to climb one tree. But naturally, squirrels look for nuts. They know what's good nuts and bad nuts already. Naturally, in their instinct, they already know what to do. You just have to teach them which tree you want them to go on.
That's it.
So he was saying that to refer to my natural ability. He was telling me, naturally, you're good with people. You know how to upsell them, how to make them feel at ease, how to talk to them.
You're introverts.
Yeah. And, I just need to teach you how to use that in the insurance world, because the insurance world is literally about talking and helping people. That's all it is. So it took a lot of convincing, but honestly, that's the best decision I've ever made in my life. When I started working for him, one of the things he told me, he said, I know you working. At that time, when he met me, I was a manager of a gas station. But I wanted to do something like we call back home as clacking. I wanted to do something clerical to feel like I wasn't just a gas station guy. So I worked part-time for PayPal. So I was working for PayPal on the resolution, and I was going to school at the same time, because I'm like, you know what they say in Africa, all your friends are graduating and you're the only one that haven't graduated.
Yeah. And you want to get a degree too. Yep.
You want to get a degree because you don't want to be ashamed to your family. So what he told me was, I want you to leave your job at PayPal. I want you to leave the gas station and do me a favor. If you work for me for a year and you don't make the same amount that you made for those two jobs, I will pay you the difference in one check.
Oh, wow.
That's how much he believed in me. And this changed also my view of people. People will look at me, they're like, oh, you are a little too kind to people sometime. And I said, that's because someone looked at me who didn't care about my accent, where I was from, didn't care about my background. They just believed in my natural ability by just observing me. They took a chance in me. You know, they took a chance on me. So every time I have the opportunity to take a chance on someone, succeed or not, I always do. Because I'm hoping that I'm that one person that changed the course of that person's life or career to make it better forever. And when I came and worked, he literally stuck to his promise. When I was working with him, my first year in insurance, my daughter was probably 3 years old at that time. I will go to pass my insurance license, I'll fail. I'll go to pass it, I'll fail. And every time I'll fail my insurance license, I'll come back to him. He will look at me and say, you're not fired. Just go back and try again. And the fourth time that I failed my exam, his dad, his own dad, he got on the phone, he calls his dad and he put him on speaker. He said, Dad, remember that young kid I was telling you about? Yeah, I'm sitting here with him right now. Can you tell him how much I believe in him? And his dad is like, son, I don't know you, but the way my son talk about you, I want to tell you that as a Black man in America, all we need is a chance. It doesn't matter how much you fail, as long as the will of success is in you, you will succeed. So go back.
That's powerful though.
Yes, go back. All you have to do is just pass that exam one time. One time. You don't have to do it ever again. I was very emotional. I went home and I took like 3 days. I went back and I passed my exam there. So that was my property and casualty. And immediately by the time I came in, he's like, hey, you literally need to go get your life and health license immediately. I'm like, I just got done with the first one. He's like, no, you're not gonna be a half complete agent. I need you to be a full agent.
Wow.
And I will tell you, with his mentoring, him teaching me about, he was the first person to get me a suit. He's like, we need to take you to get a suit. You need to go get professional pictures. My first ever professional pictures was him. It's like, we need to get you a business card. We need to make sure that you look as legit as you are, because as a Black man with an accent that is trying to sell something that is a white man dominant business, I need you to come with your best foot forward.
Wow.
And first year I did okay. Second year I was top producer in our district at that time. Second year, third year, and every year I was topping and topping and topping. But something happened after the first year. After the first year, I would sell a lot of car and home because I knew a lot of African. So I would sell car insurance and rental insurance and that. But what really guided me in my career to be a real fool, because every agent you talk to, they're either good at selling one thing but not so good at the other.
Yeah.
What made me actually the best agent I could is that I could sell car and home and insurance all the time. But I was doing a little bit of life. I would sit with him. He would do some life insurance meeting. But I didn't want to talk about death, because in Africa, we don't talk about that.
Of course.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So he would always ask me, like, why aren't you telling client about life insurance? And I couldn't. But what changed my career right at that time is one of the people, the young man at night, when I told you that will come from work and let me use his car in the parking lot. He was in May he rest in peace. He was in his car after double shift, and he had a brain aneurysm. So he was tired. He tried to take a nap in his car, and they found him in his car.
Oh, wow.
So, but the problem was there was no money to take him home. We didn't have, most of us didn't have papers then. No, none of us had the money. We were still struggling. 5 years in America doesn't make you rich.
No.
We are all struggling. That was the first time we had to reach out as a community to gather money, ask for donation, get things together to make sure he was such a nice person that we all really wanted his parents to see him and say goodbye. But right after his funeral, everything changed, because my mentor, when I came back from that funeral, the first question he asked me was, what did you learn? And I was such in grievance that I was like, I literally turned like, what, why are you asking me this question? He goes, what did you learn? Because everything in life happened to us for a reason. What did you learn? And I say, I don't know. He's like, you sure? He's like, think about what you do. And think about what just happened. Do you think you could have talked to your friend to say, hey, you have a wife or you just got married? We should probably get you life insurance. Do you think if he had 100,000, do you think the same situation that you guys went through could have happened? And I'm like, I started thinking, I said,
yeah,
you're right. And since that day, I made it a point. If you talk to any of my clients, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, all the other clients I have all around the United States, everybody end up knowing me. Like some people have to ask themselves, you do car and other insurance too? I say, oh, I do. But everybody knows me as a life insurance guy because I made it a mission since that day that there's no one in my immigrant community that will have an interaction with me that I will not know that there's such a thing as life insurance. Because every single time I get that WhatsApp message, I get that WhatsApp group message, I get that post on Facebook, GoFundMe. Let's get money. Let somebody pass away. Let's bury him. Let's do this. Let's do that. My heart breaks a little bit because obviously one more person that didn't know any better, that didn't want to actually do something right, not just for him, but for all his people.
Yeah.
So my career in insurance, when I worked for my mentor for 4 years, in the 4th year, he looked at me and he said, I need you to apply to become your own agent. Otherwise, I'm going to fire you. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Because you are so good now at this point.
Yeah. But he didn't say that. He said, you need to apply to be an agent. Otherwise, I'm going to fire you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm going to fire you. I give you 3 months. I'm going to fire you in 3 months. The second year when I was working for him, getting to the 3rd year, he called me. He goes, okay, I got you where you need to be. You're a top producer. You know what you're doing. But he said, you got to get ready for real life. Before insurance, he had a bachelor's degree in business. He had an associate degree in nursing and he was a pharmaceutical salesman before he got into insurance. He said, you have to have more than one arrow in your quiver. You can't just have one and say insurance and that's it.
Yes, yeah.
So it was one of those things that he's like, go back to school. Now you know what you're good at. Go back to school and solidify it. So just like everybody at the beginning, back in 2004, computer science networking was the hottest thing then. That's what I was doing. So I went back and I changed my degree to science of business. And it took me, I had 2 years of education already. It took me 15 months. And I completed my bachelor in science of business with a minor in computer science, right? Just completed those. But when I came back and I applied to be an agent, they were putting me on a waiting list. When the 3 months came, he said, I know they're not approved, they haven't approved you yet to be an agent. But here is what I'm going to tell you. Before you decide to become an agent, work for commission only. Maybe try to use your degree. Go work in corporate America. See how that is. Because he's like, I don't want to feel like I'm the one who pigeonholed you to only do insurance. And you haven't tried something else.
Yeah.
Because all your friends working 9 to 5, you're the only one that's the hustler. You want to do something different. So at the end of those 3 months, I actually applied and I worked for a company, a construction company called Kiewit.
Okay.
And I was in their, I was in their account payable department, working for project in Canada, Australia, because obviously I speak French. After a year there, the people in Canada was like, well, we really like working with you. You think you can actually come to the job and work with us? So they moved me from United States to Canada. And I was in Manitoba, in a small town in Manitoba called Pointe du Bois. I worked on a project as a field accountant now. So work with the engineer, vendors, paying the bills of the job, start working on a budget. And after that, I moved on a project.
How long you worked there in Canada?
I was 2 years in Manitoba.
Oh,
I was a year in Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay, Alberta. Okay, yeah.
And I did 3 months in Vancouver. Okay. And the problem at that time is my daughter was still here. So I really wanted to come back, because the only time in Canada, the only time they would let you come back is once every 3 months.
Which is a little bit tough, especially for a little kid like that.
So at that time, I just made sure that I was satisfied. I was making good money, but I just didn't like it because I wasn't a dad. I was literally just
something's missing.
Yeah. So I asked them to actually move back to the US, and they're like, no, Canadian, you're Canadian now, you're no longer our US department. And it was a tough time because I was going through a custody battle then, and I was divorced, and just really didn't want to create any more issues that I was trying to go through. But everything happens for a reason. When I came back United States, I came without a job. They just gave me all my severance pay from Canada, and I just came back. And a friend of mine at that time, my business partner now, was working for an insurance company, and he goes, dude, this company I'm working for, obviously they have a lot of a good life product. And mind you, that young kid, my business partner, in my second year working for my mentor, we hired him. I was the one teaching him insurance. So imagine me going for 3 years and I'm back, and he's a whole agent, having his own agent.
Wow.
And he's the one telling me, dude, you are the one who taught me everything I know. If you come here, you're going to do amazing. So that's when I decided, maybe I'll go back into insurance. And it's been 9 years, and I've been back at it. 8 years now. Yeah, I've been back at it.
And there's a lot of lessons to be learned from your stories, man. Wow. What a great story. Wow.
So that's how I ended up in insurance. Yes.
Oh, wow. So what kind of insurance services you guys provide?
No, we provide everything from car insurance. So they call those property and casualty. So car insurance, home insurance, apartment insurance, bonds, trucking, commercial insurance. So businesses, hairdressers, grocery stores, hotels, any business you can think of, we provide those as well.
And health insurance as well?
Yeah, so right now it's kind of hard with the way the government is dealing with health insurance. it's kind of tough to really find good health insurance,
Okay.
because since Obamacare, we kind of move health insurance onto a specialist for people that just do health, because
Okay.
there's so many laws around it now that it's kind of complex. So the only thing we settle to is property and casualty, which is all the big rig, anything that you can live in, drive, or you can work in, we actually will insure. And then obviously we do life, life insurance, and and annuities, or part retirement. So we do a lot of those cases of protecting people's livelihood, from kids to parents, to people bringing their parents here, new family, newlywed, anybody we talk to about life insurance as well.
Cool,
So
cool, cool. Before we start this meeting, you said something very important, is that you want to make sure your customer got the best of the best insurance policy, because it's one of something that drives you. Like, you want to make sure that they don't, people don't take advantage of them. You want to provide them really, really good insurance to them. Or can you
no,
talk a little bit about that?
one of the major thing that I had, and as an immigrant, here's one thing is important to me: education, right? Educating their client. Because the major issue that I found is that insurance can become very frivolous, right? 15 minutes can save you this much, all right? Anything you see on TV, it becomes kind of a joke thing.
Mhm.
But what most people don't know is that what makes a great agent is not the price always. It's the education first, and then the price.
Mhm.
Because the reason why is because you want to understand what you're buying.
Mhm.
You want to know how you protect it.
Mhm.
And then you actually can find the person the best price. Now, I went from being captive to one agency for 6 years to
Mhm.
now becoming an independent agent. The reason why is because I realized there's one thing that you have to understand about insurance: it fluctuates, right? So if you with one company, price are going up, they're going up every year. It's kind of hard sometimes because you can't keep your client. And because I deal with a lot of immigrants, it takes one person to tell the other person, and then now they're like, "Oh, Jack, prices are too expensive," and no one want to come to you, even though they love you. Everybody want to save money
Mhm.
because the TV told you so, all the commercial told you so. But to truly be the best agent out there, I want to first educate people, especially as a newcomer. When you come to this country, you don't know anything about car insurance. You don't know what are the requirements. You don't know what full coverage is. You don't know what liability is. You
Yep.
don't understand what roadside assistance and all these things are. So when you walk to me, either is in French, is in English, is in a little bit of Spanish, or is in Airway or Cabier,
Mhm.
I will tell you in any language that I can speak, hey, this is what these words mean on your paper.
Mhm.
Most of my clients, when they walk away with their insurance, they're like, I know exactly what I have. And when they get themselves in an accident or anything, most of them don't call me. When they call me, they're telling me, oh, I got into this thing and I did this like you told me. I'm like, okay, good. You know exactly what you're doing.
What you do?
I explained to them the process of when you get in an accident, what should you do, right? Make sure you call the police. Don't drive away. It may cost you more issues. Don't argue with the people. I give them those advice because I know how he felt to be a newcomer in this country,
Of
and I
course.
understand how. I say, don't talk back to the people. Don't come out and say, oh, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. Don't do any of these things. So it's not just about coverage, but it's also about education to make you ready for what American life is like, right? When people walk to me and want to talk about life insurance, I just don't tell them, oh, it's going to be this much. What's term life insurance? What is whole life insurance? What is return of premium? Why do you need that? Tell me more about you. Tell me about back home. Who are the people you're responsible for? Do you have any kids here? Do you have any kids back home? Are you married somewhere? Do you have any, when people tell me about their finances, how much do you make? Do you have any other income somewhere? Because, excuse my French, but a white man is not going to ask you, what do you have back home?
Of course.
What is in Africa? Who do you get? Because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So he only go by the question that is on the questionnaire to
Mhm.
just ask you a question and give you whatever you need.
You need.
But me, I go deeper. But now when I go to submit it as an independent broker, I will look around and say, okay, according to what my client told me, this is the best company for the benefit, and this is the best price that I can offer them.
Wow.
That is what makes me not only fiduciarily responsible for my client, but also make me sleep peacefully at night, knowing that I did the best for my client.
Okay. Wow. I think it's very, very, very good thing to do, because a lot of people don't know, what. First of all, nobody will have a time to sit down to go through all those stuff with you. They just want, and a lot of agents, they just thinking about money, how they can get the money from you. That's it. But you go a little bit, like you say, you go a little bit deeper, which is very important. And not only that, you will keep your customer. Even if they leave you, they will see the difference.
Oh yeah,
See the
I had
difference,
people.
and then they
I
will
had
come
people
back.
that
Yeah,
I had people that left me, right? That would leave
yeah,
me. Oh, Chale, I found this thing,
yeah,
and they were $20 cheaper.
yeah.
And the funny thing, actually, the craziest thing is there is only two. As immigrant, there is only two type of client. One that will call you and say, "Hey man, I'm so sorry, but the wife said, or my husband said, we have to save this $20 a month.
Mhm.
If things get better, I will come back." Right? There's that type of client, and there's a guy who call, "Oh, I just want to cancel. You charging me too much." Right? There's those two clients.
Mhm.
The difference between those two clients, and people think it's crazy when I do this. The difference between those two clients is that the guy who come back either 6 months later or a year later and said, "Oh, Jack, I need you to run me a quote and see if you're cheaper." If you're client number one that say, "Hey, I had to do what's best for my family," I will check again and say, "Hey, I think I have a better deal for you. You can come back." The guy who said, "Oh, I'm just leaving you," most of the time, I'll look at them and say, "I'd rather not have you as a client." And people think it's the weirdest thing. "Oh, you don't want money? You don't want my money?"
It's
No,
not about money,
it's
though.
not about money. It's not about money. It's about relationship.
Of course.
That's what it is. And people are, "Oh, Antoine."
Yeah.
No, it's not that. It's not my ego speaking. It's if I want to build a base of clientele that trust me, I need you to be honest with me. I tell people all the time when they want to cancel and they apologize, I say, you don't need to apologize to me.
Mhm.
You don't need to. I understand what it is. I've been without money.
Yep.
I understand what it is that you have to save the little bit you have. But just make sure before you cancel here and go somewhere else, make sure that you're getting the same benefit
Mhm.
that you're getting, so you actually be okay. Because I cannot sit here and honestly tell you I have the only company that have
Oh,
the best
yeah,
price.
yeah. No,
That America is a competitive place.
of course.
But the one thing I know is my plus one on whatever best price you're getting is the service I'm willing to provide.
That's like they say, you go extra mile.
Correct.
Go
Is
there
that
for-
3 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody is stuck, police is, they in the middle of the police, they don't know anybody because they new. And the only person that can speak their language is me.
That's you.
And they call in and you answer, you go, "Are you okay?" And they go, I'm coming back from work. Third shift is always, I call the immigrant shift, is always third shift. So we end up working overnight.
Mhm.
And this person is going home. Maybe he was tired. He was just tired for after working overnight, and he's getting pulled over for DWI or DUI. He doesn't know how to speak English either. Literally, one of my clients, 3 or 4 of my clients, in their mind, they're like, "Oh, it's the winter. I'm gonna stay in my car. I'm gonna just sleep a little bit in my car, and then I'm gonna go." Police come, trying to knock on the door, trying to tell them, "Hey, we're gonna give you a DWI because you're drunk or you're," and those are things that the person's on speaker. So, "This is my brother," and I'm there telling the cops, "Hey, this person worked 2 jobs. He literally liked to sit here and actually, take a little nap so he's ready to drive home. And where is this thing?" So I have to tell them, if you want to do this, don't park on the road. Make sure you park in the private property. This is private property. He can do whatever you want in his car. Oh, you just want to make sure he was okay. Okay, he's fine.
Okay.
So, but that person cannot explain himself that way. Maybe he does, he doesn't even have he's living on a visa here. He doesn't want any trouble. So
Any
you just
trouble, of
do
course.
whatever that actually happened. But someone like me that is an American citizen, I will stand up and say, he has rights. You can't just, because you think that you under the assumption of something that he has to, you're gonna get him in trouble. No, this is what he does, because I know the reality of what we had to go through.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's a very good thing to do. If you want to, like I say, if you want to keep your customers, and you have to be honest, do the right thing. And then when they see the result, guess what? They are the one who are going to promote your business. You don't even have to do anything else. They are the one who are going to promote your business, bring you more clients.
I have not advertised in
Yep.
4 years.
You see?
In 4 years, I have not advertised. In my previous company, I was top producer of car and home insurance, top life producer 2 years in a row. I have not advertised.
Because
I
of the
have
good
not
job that you have done.
advertised
Yeah.
because all I do is reach out to the community and educate. If you help enough people, they'll end up helping you. That's all I go by. Jim Rome said that if you help enough people, they will end up helping you. All you have to do is just keep helping people.
Yeah. That's very good. So my next question is, I don't want to make this, I don't want to take a lot of your time, but my next question, what is the number one insurance policy you think everybody should have?
It depends on where you are in your life.
Okay.
Right? If you just came to America, if you just come to America, I tell people I wouldn't say number one. I would say there's two that are neck to neck, right? First one is the one that we're not used to, that we need to have. Mm-hmm. If you're new, you're driving, please don't try to use somebody else's insurance. Don't try to, use somebody's plate. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you can just get on my insurance, and then later on you can get on yours. Get your own insurance, because insurance is like credit. The longer you have it, the no accident or anything, the better and cheaper your insurance rate is going to get over the years. As a matter of fact, insurance use your credit, but it's based on longevity, and it's based on how long. At the beginning, it's going to be tough. I remember as a 20-year-old driving in 1889, the first time I got insurance, I was paying almost $150, and that was in 2004. $150 in 2004, that's like $300 now.
That's a lot of money.
That's liability on a 1989 Geo Prism. So somewhere you have to understand that we all have to go through it. So yes, he may, even if you have a learner's permit, there's still companies that will offer you to actually have a license, because I understand that most people come in this country, you have a learner's permit, but you may not always have access to a car, but you still got to work. You still got to, you still got to train to be able to practice. So maybe you get in that one with a license saying, we did that. I know people that did that. They go, hey, brother, don't drive your car. Let me drive my car. And since you have a permit, you have a license, I have a learner's. Let me just drive you to work and back. Then I can train. So how do you insure that car with just a learner's permit? There's companies that will allow you to do that, but make sure you cover yourself first, because the last thing you want is to walk into this country, get involved in a collision accident. Somebody's injured, and you are the reason why without insurance. That is literally going to destroy your life for the rest of the time you're in the United States. I tell people all the time, if you're driving on any highway in America, the billboard that you see on the side, why do you see so many injury attorney billboard?
Yep.
And if you ever heard of the term ambulance chasers, you will know that it is not. Number one claims in America are always bodily injury claims. You don't want to be on the other
Even
side.
commercial, you see a lot of those commercials on
Correct.
TV.
Correct. So that's the number one thing I tell people. Protect yourself before you get behind the wheel. That's one. The second one is, if you're in this country, you protect yourself, you need to have life insurance, especially if there are people back home that are dependent on you. Have life insurance. I don't care if it's a $15 life insurance, a $10 life insurance. I tell people all the time, no one want to sign up for the benefit at work. I don't know why. But life insurance has worked. Most company, if you work in full time, will give you, is literally a check mark. Your first year salary is usually free life insurance. First year salary. The only thing you have to pay for is usually 2 times or 3 times or 4 times your salary as life insurance. But a lot of people don't sign up. So do me a favor. You find that first job, you're full time, check life insurance. Before even you check medical insurance, check life insurance. Because if nothing else, that job at least will pay that 15,000, 20,000 or 30,000 or 40,000 a year that you're making, they will pay that to your family. That can take your body back home. That can take care of that kid or those family you have back home.
Wow. Wow. So some of those stuff, a lot of us don't even know,
Correct.
Like you say, education is the thing. Yeah. Yep. Education.
It's the major thing. It's key. It's key. It's one of those things that I tell people all the time that, sometimes when people get their job, one of my clients, people always ask me like, you do everything? And I say, because I had to go through everything.
Mm-hmm.
If I've learned
experience too.
Why will I actually make one of my brothers go through it again? I know it. I'll just teach him. So, people be like, I tell people, they give you those benefit package. You don't know how to fill it out. Call me. Call me. We'll go through it. I'll show you what you need to check, what you don't need to check. I'll tell you. If nothing else, I'll at least guide you, and then you can make your decision. That's the number one thing. Benefits of work are free. If you have even a better job, most of them are free. So even if you can afford anything outside of work, get that one.
Get that one. At least I get that one.
Average cost of 3 times your salary usually is about $3 or $5 a paycheck. So if you make 25,000, you take 3 times your salary, that's 75,000 life insurance. The downfall to that is if you leave the job, that benefit is no longer yours. So that's why I tell people, have something outside of your work, because life insurance is based on age and sex. Women are cheaper than men because women live longer than men. And, the younger you are, the better of a risk you are, because they know you're going to live longer. The older you are, the higher prices. So don't wait till you pass 45 when you have 3 kids, a wife, and then you go, I'm getting old. My knees are not feeling well anymore. I'm on, blood pressure medicine. I think now I need life insurance. No, get it while you're young. Get it while you're young. Because when you lock in your price for 30 years or till retirement or whatever, you just locked it in. That price is never going to change again.
Wow. Well, Jack, last question. What kind of advice you have for newcomers or permanent resident here in the United States? Just general advice for them.
I will have 3 advice for them.
Okay.
1, when you walk into this country, understand the laws that govern this country. Understand the laws. Because you're coming from a different country, the same rules don't apply. Understand the basic law. There's a reason why if you're doing the citizenship, they have the legislation and those portions in your citizenship. Understand the laws that govern the country. That's the number 1 rule. Understand the law. What is wrong? What can get me in trouble?
Mm-hmm.
Once you know that, you know how to move, you know what to do and what not to do. There's no, it's not a back home where, you can get stopped by the police and give them, 5,000 save CFA and you're good, get out of my way. I'm not in trouble anymore. You can call your uncle and say, uncle, can you pull some string to get me out of this? That doesn't work. So we all have different background. We come from different family. We were raised differently, but you have to understand the same law applies to all of us in the United States. No one is above the law, so you need to know the law. Basics law, simple thing. Know the laws, know your right. Those are first thing. Because we live too much in fear as immigrants sometimes, and we do not know our rights. And sometimes it goes against our own detriment, because it will take years before someone's like, oh, this thing happened to me for a couple years and I didn't know what to do. And you're like, you have the right to do this. And they go, oh, I didn't know that. No, even when you're being employed, understand your right. Understand your right. That's know the law, understand your right. That's the first thing. Second, understand finances. What is credit? What is debit? What is a loan? How does it work? What is collection? How does it affect you? That is very important. That will set your path for the rest of your life here in the United States.
Yeah.
Understanding credit. Third, but not least, find your tribe. I didn't say find your community. I said find your tribe. The reason why is together we are stronger, but we don't always mesh well together. So find your tribe, which means find the people around you that push you to be better than where you are. They could be African, they could be American, they could be Chinese, they could be,
Like the guy who found you at the gas station.
Yes, he's an African American. He's not even African. Find your tribe, because the company you keep will determine the life you live. One of the people say, show me your friend, I'll show you who you are.
Yeah.
Find your tribe. If you know the law, you know your right, you understand finances, and you have a strong tribe around you, it will take a tsunami of event before you fail in the United States.
What a powerful advice. What a powerful advice. Jack, and where people can find you at?
On Facebook, I'm Jacques Beguedou, le Togolais. Literally, as you
I'm going to put a link in the description.
It's Jacques Beguedou, the Togolese guy. So I'm Jacques Beguedou, le Togolais. That's my personal Facebook. Right now, I don't have a Facebook yet for my agency, but most of the time, people can DM me at any time. It's Jacques Beguedou, le Togolais, on Facebook. You can reach out at any time if you have any question, obviously, about insurance. You can always call my office directly, and I can answer any question. And my office number is 402-858-8200.
I'm gonna make sure I put it on.
Yeah.
Video too.
402-858-4200. That's my office number. You can give me a call if you have any question. If you call and you don't speak English and you just speak, French, or you speak, language from back home, just say I want to talk to Shaq, and they'll make sure to let me know, how we can communicate. I'm always on the internet. I wear multiple hats.
I know that.
I'm a dad. Like I say, I'm an entrepreneur. So you'll probably see me on YouTube, on Instagram, or anywhere else. But what I do for a living is an insurance agent. What I enjoy living is teaching people my passion. That's always what I do.
Well, Jack, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. That was a wow. Hey, I learned a lot in this interview, though. Not only I learned a lot about you, but I learned a lot myself too. Some things that I can apply in my everyday life. And I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. You can come back anytime. We can talk about, more topics. And I'm available. You hit
Oh,
me, I'm
absolutely.
there. I'm there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you so much, and
My
have a
pleasure.
great weekend. Okay.
Yeah, you have a good one. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Guys, if you made it to the end, you know that it's a powerful interview. You probably learn a lot from this interview, especially if you are newcomers here in the United States of America. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys love it, learn something from it. If you know somebody who might benefit from this video, please don't share the video with that person. If you like the video, you already know what you do. If you want to be notified every time you have a new video, you already know what you do. If you want to subscribe to this channel, you already know what you do. Again, my name is John. Whatever you do today, do it peacefully. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in another video.
USA Monde.